This seems more like a video diary than anything. It is Christmas Day, and I'm alone in my studio. Actually, my dog is wandering around. But it's the culmination of a few days working in the studio right here. Thinking I was like onto something, like actually texting my youngest son pictures of the paintings I was doing and then saying, I think I'm onto something. And what I was on was, borrowing from a lot of different painters that had, grabbed paint cans, Oops paint in particular that I've got from paint businesses where people get a sample of something and it's just not the right color, so they discard it, and then these companies have nothing, and they just want to give it away. So I've got hundreds of different cans and different sizes, and I started pouring paint within paint within paint and making these beautiful layers, and I poured it on these 4 canvases that I pushed all together as one, and then I pulled them apart to be separate, but each layer, variations of blue, variations of earth tones, variations of like gold and silver and bronze, marigold. I mean, all the colors that just kind of strewn together look like the multiverse. And I'd look at these paintings for the longest time and just like feel myself so small and at the same time so immense, right? Kind of like this alpha omega feeling. And I discovered a lot about myself, how interested I am in the macro and micro simultaneously, but also how impatient I am. And the paradox that I live in, accepting what is, but nitpicking at things so much. I come from this belief that, and well aware that the middle of a belief is a lie, but I come from this belief that asking why ask enough whys and they'll make you wise. And there's a certain wisdom there, but it's just somewhat fleeting as compared to like the ability to let things truly be. And so in the process of doing these paintings, I had layer over layer, and I needed more beauty. I needed more. I kept, I had access to all this paint, so I just kept trying different colors and putting that on there, and it was so vibrant because it was wet and bright, but I wasn't letting the first layer dry. I put another layer on and another layer, and it'd stack higher than, I was just so mesmerized. It was like this obsession, and creating these universes, like really feeling like a god, creating other existences through thought, which we all are an extension of God, but and by our feelings and thoughts and will force, our gods ourselves. But I didn't, I tried to do so much so fast. I didn't let it dry properly. And when I came back to it, after being patient for a couple days, it just like deflated, and some wasn't curing or drying quickly enough. And I felt deeply for what I had done, just like this irresponsible tenacity to create, that I wasn't enjoying the process as much. I was like looking for a certain outcome, and I wasn't enjoying the process. And I got to a point to where I'm like, you know what, this is just so heavy, and just, I don't know if I like it anymore. And I started to peel at it, and I'm like, you know what, maybe I can just get to the canvas. I just get to the canvas and chalk it all up as a mistake. And then in kind of the deconstruction of peeling some paint away that had dried, I realized what I was doing. I realized that I had, through this entire process of being with my daughter, going to Michael's to pick out these 4 canvases, to having a vision on how it was going to start, and starting with 1 canvas and then using a second, and then all 4 were intertwined and putting paint on each other and layering, and I got to this point of this, what appeared to be this climax, right? The crisis before the climax, and then the climax, to see it kind of start to decompose, this falling action of the painting. And I wanted everything to do with that as well. I wanted to be not just the creator, but the destroyer, because the destroyer of that is also creating something else. Again, this alpha omega kind of concept. The beginning and the end are the same. And so, you know, whether it's your own mind that validates and comes up with a conclusion for why things are, at least I have the awareness that I do that. But I have 4 paintings with me that I'd like to share that I think are symbolic of an entire process of painting, because it's not just the creation, it's the deconstruction of it. It's the destruction of it, the construction and destruction of a painting. And as I'm whittling away through and removing paint, there's so much beauty underneath. I mean, you're actually seeing the inverse of where the paint is, like where the paint is sitting, because you just see the top, and you remove the top, and what's beneath the fucking paint was just even more beautiful, and in my opinion. But what we have here are paintings that represent a plan that necessarily went through its completion, and then some, you know. But I think that anybody that looks at art and is a fan of art would find a lot of disgust in these, because of the colors not matching, or it's asymmetrical, or it's messy. It's all in the eye of the beholder, because I know that this process is a full one. I mean, when we see a painting in its completion, we haven't seen it in its destruction. So, is it complete? So, again, I've got like a shade and shadows there, but like right here, just there's so much that's gone on here. There were these beautiful layers here that I developed here and over here, but I started pulling away at it until I got to a point where it's had enough. Like it's had enough. And underneath all of these layers that I consciously made is stuff that I it was made underneath, unbeknownst to me. So this one. And we have this one here. It has a big glob of blue that has come off that, but you can see it. There's some beautiful pattern right here, the layers, but then it's just, there's too much to try pulling away, and it still has some I could easily pull away. I'm gonna leave it, and I think what I'm gonna do is build a little frame around these in epoxy. If I get these all down, epoxy, probably maybe a 1/4 inch on top to preserve everything, if the canvas can handle it. If it can't, I don't know. I love even actually looking at the opposite side. You can't really tell, but you can see like in certain areas where I've removed the paint that I can see right through the canvas because the canvas is exposed again. I've gotten in so many arguments with people like saying, well, you should never, you owe it to the person that all the canvas is covered. I'm like, well, the canvas is 20 by 20. Maybe I only felt like doing 18 by 18 of it. You owe it to, I don't owe it to fucking anybody, anything. But, yeah, if you, see, I just removed part of it. But that's also, maybe it's a painting that someone will hang up and just like pick at it. Just fucking pick at it. And I think that's what I do. That's why I'm short on friendships at times. Because I pick at things, until I find them to be somewhat mundane. Again, here we have it, the beautiful patterns are here and underneath here. And I just started up here, beautiful. But even here, like beneath, we as humans, we have this these little fetishes of unboxing, of now, like as people awaken spiritually, of discussions of seeing beneath the veils and all of those things, and it has its place, but this is like a perfect representation of what that can do. Any way you look at it, like it could be by doing so or not letting things be, and we end up ruining a flow state, or we get to a core of something and we find the beauty in that, or maybe some people find like it's not worth it. Better to leave things alone, maybe. But I like not having an answer, because it could be, this means many things to me versus, and I can change it, and I love feeling my mind being able to adapt to those things, because no matter what that is, I'm accepting what that is, and the isness of that what is ever evolving because the universe's movement. That's just where we are today on a Christmas.